Now you can make your own drape. What you must remember is the width of the whole drape has to fit in to whatever size fabric you buy. You don't want any seams on this unless you're doing a particularly, patchwork one. So the actual width of this fabric is 23.5 inches finished. So you've got to remember you need to do your rolled hem. Now most sewing machines come with a rolled hem foot, and there are lots and lots of videos on YouTube as to how to do a rolled hem if you don't know how to. Take your time, that's all I will say, and have a little bit of a practice before you go on to your finished fabric. It will take you from start to finish, I would imagine it'll take you nearly an hour to make one of these. I've managed to speed the process up only because I've made so many. Rolled hem on the outside. Now the centre is a zigzag or a satin stitch. You need it to get quite a close stitch and wide enough that it gives you a good base. Now on ours I have used a medium weight interfacing just to give me a stronger edge, and I sewed the circle, I ironed the circle right the way across the middle. I then cut out. Now all you need to do is get your shape and put your shape down, use the outside of the shape, and that is how much Bondo web, Vilene web, whatever one you want to use, that's how much you need to cut out as a circle. Now as you can see, mine sits perfectly at that size. You then need to come in an inch, and that inch in will give you where you need to have your stitching. You're stitching from the inside to the outside. Can be quite difficult. You've got a bulk of fabric that actually goes through the short arm of the sewing machine. Now I put mine down to a 0.2 width size, and I have it on a number 5 zigzag. I think they are common sizes from what I've seen on the websites, and that gives me a finish. And then I trim out. I have some, as you might see by my collection, I have rather a lot of scissors. You can trim out with ordinary thread scissors, embroidery scissors. These ones are very, very small applique scissors, and it looks like it's a flat blade, but it's not. It's got an exceptionally fine serrated edge. And one of the things you must do, just so it looks neatly finished, is you trim that center portion away, making sure that you keep it so it looks a neat finish. And all you do, very, very close, and you trim off so that you have a finished product. And don't cut into the stitches you've just stitched. Okay, you will end up with some bits. One thing I do is I press. You know, this is like the Great British Sewing Bee. Press, press, press. If you keep it pressed and flat, you will end up with a good finish. Now the fabrics that we use are what we call light interior fabrics, furnishing fabrics. These are for cushion covers, curtains. Look at the symbol. Now all the ones we sell on the website, we have made sure they work with this design. Once you've got it up, you then start very gently pressing it in place. You might want to starch. You could do this out of calico. Remember, if you're going to do it out of calico, you wash your calico at least twice before you use it. Calico can shrink up to 10 inches. That's quite a shrinkage. Calico is absolutely fantastic. If you get some stencils, and if you're putting this in your child's bedroom, get them to use fabric pens and colour in. I'll show you how to do that. Now, you can do your own decoration. Either you could do it, child can do it. You know, I've just done out a piece of calico, I've cut the round shape. I haven't done the centre because that's not important at the minute. I'm just going to show you how to do a stencil. Now, I happen to quilt, and as a quilter, I have some plastic ready, easy to do stencils. Tailors, marking chalk. I happen to have mine on a roll. You could have it as a block, doesn't really matter. So if you position, so if I want a row of tulips around the outside, I literally mark through the stencil pattern. Very easy to do. My tulip. And one thing I will say is, if a younger child is going to be doing this, you might even just want to use a pencil. Pencils can be rubbed off and they will wash out, but you tend to find that little children put the hand over the chalk marks of the tailor's chalk and it goes everywhere and you lose your definition. Now, you'll not be able to see that very easily, but once I start marking it, now these are fabric fine nib pens. You can get these in any haberdasher's or buy them online. These happen to be made by Dylon, and they come with a multitude of colours. And you might want to do the actual outline in black for the centre of your tulip. Having just that little bit of a guide from the stencil gives you a nicer shape just to follow. Makes life a little bit easier. An older child would be able to mark that out themselves. For a younger child, you may want to do that yourself, and then they literally take the Dylons bit of a blousy tulip here going on. I'm sure your child's drawing would be better than mine. Well, very simple. But if you're wanting to keep something as a family memento, this could be done at birthday parties, it could be done something, you know, that will hang in the child's room. Doesn't cost very much. It's not like buying something really expensive that's going to hang up there, and then you can take down, put it in your memory box, put a load of them around the outside, and it looks really effective. Or you could just let the child free draw. Obviously, handprints, footprints, you know, they've been very popular for a long time. You could certainly do that. If you've got an artist in the family, let them go free. Now, to fix these pens, they need heat. One tip: the pair of scissors I have in my hand have got a piece of ribbon on. That ribbon indicates to me that they are only for paper. If you want to make your own templates, this is freezer paper. Most of us know this. You can wrap food up in this, it's really good. You can draw on it, cut out, put that onto some fabric, cut the fabric out, put the fabric onto here. So, different ways of doing it. I'll just put some heat to this and it'll be set. Okay, now you can decorate it in different ways. I have, and I'm sure a lot of you have, a button box. Spread buttons around. The only thing I will say about buttons, make sure they're firmly put on otherwise you're going to have buttons falling off. Something that the children can do, make sure if you have children doing them, you don't use a back fastening button. You use a button that they can put the needles through, just to make it easier for them. And actually putting different sizes, different places around the edge can be quite effective. This gives a fun look and a fun appearance. You could go a little bit more art direction. And you could use some very, very pretty ribbons. I have mixtures of ribbons in my ribbon jar. You know, you could be making bows and tying bows on, having a selection of bows going around. Lots of different ways you can dress it up. If you want a slightly more sophisticated look, we have got an exceptionally high boot room, so I made some very long drapes. And on my very long drapes, right the way around the edge, I put some lovely braided finishing. Be very careful on your meeting. This braiding finishing comes purchased in 3 meters lengths. This one requires 3 meters 20. So I ended up buying 6 meters in braiding length. Simply stitch it down with the same colour thread all the way around, and it's actually very effective. You might want to use a plain fabric. Now this is linen, and I will say it is not the easiest of fabric. The 100% cotton is much easier, and this one, to give a fairly sophisticated look, would be something that I would put possibly the dark buttons, exactly the same dark buttons all the way around. How you want to dress it is entirely up to you. When you buy a drape off us, it will come with an original shapeNdrape label. If you wish to make your own drapes, then you can buy your license label, which gives you the right to copy our design for each label for each drape you want to make, and that information is all on the website. If you want to buy extra fabric to match a drape that we make, then you can buy the fabric by the meter if you want to make your own curtains or you want to make your own cushions. There's no problem, just use the drop down menu and you can buy fabric by the meter.